morning, everybody. Another Thursday. I'm Evelyn Thoren, your host for the next couple of hours. This is the Dawn Patrol that goes from 6 to 7. We have City Life from 7 to 8, roughly. CM Chase has joined us this morning. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I figured that since he hasn't been here for a while, we'd just be the two of us for a couple of hours. Never at a loss for words between the two of us. Yep, you're stuck with two of us. Of course, you're really not stuck. You can always turn us off.
Well, that's true, but I notice you're the host, but for some reason I get top billing here on the
No.
What's that all
The
about?
name is underneath the person
Hello?
on the screen.
McFly, hello, wake up.
Anyway, John McDonough's
Okay.
behind, as I like to say, behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can talk about this morning. There's always plenty of stuff. I always send out plenty of stuff via Facebook and Google, and so interesting stuff to me, might be interesting to you too. Some of it is sort of a repeat, but anyway, what we talk about on this particular show is we're not scripted, so we don't have a monitor in front of us that we're reading that somebody else has checked. We try to make sure that the language we have is appropriate because there's no time delay or blips or beeps or whatever it is that they use if we use the wrong word.
Somebody else will blip us.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so
What I didn't do was I
got to shut my phone off.
didn't check. Usually I check just before I come in to see what you've sent, and I didn't do that.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all stuff that you already know about.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Well, wait a minute now. I got a note here from John, see, that I didn't see, and if I had seen it,
Close the
it
doors.
says, please close any door that you open. It helps with the heat. See, there you go. Yes, it does.
Anyway, so the opinions we have, or whatever it is we say, they're ours, or it's somebody else's that we've heard that we're repeating. We may not give them credit because we do all have brains that think similarly in some cases, but we are to see the bottom. Yeah, we see at the bottom of our screen: Drake, Chelmsford, Lowell, Tewksbury, Tingsboro. And when I was here last week, we weren't on in Lowell at the 7 o'clock mark because apparently the pipes froze and it flooded and they couldn't operate. So
I
are they
saw
on
that.
this week, John?
Lowell's all better.
Lowell's all better. Great.
So, in other words, in the Lowell studio, their pipes froze. Is that what you're
They
saying?
broke in the building. They don't
Oh.
own the building.
Okay.
So we're live, except in Lowell currently, because Lowell comes on at 7. So anyway, well, here we are again.
Yeah, here we are again in
I
the
mean,
cold.
time's flying. It was like
9 degrees
Well, see, last
on
week
the
we were
way in.
lucky because our signal goes to Tewksbury. Tewksbury Public Access distributes our signal to Lowell, Chelmsford, and thanks to Brian Dorrington and Jason Marshall, they kept the signal going. Yesteryear, it went to LTC, and LTC would only put out 1 hour of the show. So I talked to Brian, and he said, "Yeah, we'll do it."
We can do that.
So Tewksbury does it.
If
So
you're,
God bless Tewksbury.
unless something has changed, I'm off cable TV now, but when I had it, it was Verizon. And Comcast didn't do this, but if you were a Verizon subscriber in Chelmsford, you could get the Lowell and the Tingsboro cable TV. That was included in the Verizon package if you were a Chelmsford subscriber. So I used to watch when I had the Verizon cable, I used to watch the Lowell City Council meetings. Very, very entertaining.
Ralph Hogan says good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
But so many people have cut the cord, so to speak, and I've been thinking about it for 2 years, and anyone who knows me knows that I generally don't make snap decisions when it comes to making changes like that. I spend a lot of time thinking about it, research, and so forth.
What does Candy want?
Well, she wanted a specific ability to watch specific shows, so that had to be factored into the decision. And so we finally decided a couple months ago to get rid of the cable and get rid of our phone landlines, which we don't have anymore.
Do you have a burglar alarm?
No, we don't.
That's why we keep the phone.
And okay, well, that makes perfect sense. And we are saving approximately $65 a month. Our TV has improved in terms of its quality, the visual quality, and at the same time, we upgraded our speed, our internet speed, and our computers and printers work a lot better than they did before. So it was a major upgrade, and we're saving some pretty substantial money, and we have better quality service. So it's a problem because the local cable TV access operations are funded by a surcharge on your
Comcast?
on your Comcast and on your Verizon bills. And so to the extent that people eliminate their cable TV, it reduces the funding for your local cable access. And the only reason I know that is because I happen to be on the Finance Committee in Chelmsford, and we have to review the cable TV budget every year. Okay, so I've been assigned to that responsibility for the last 3 or 4 years. So I have to go over Pete Padula's budget and so forth, and the revenue keeps going down as people disengage from the cable. So I don't, at some point, I can't imagine that local cable access will go away because, people have now gotten used to being able to turn on their TV and watch a city council meeting or a select board meeting or a school committee meeting and what have you. And I think if that were to go away, it would cause a big problem. So they're going to have to, at some point, figure out how do we fund these operations.
Well, Glenn also canceled Comcast because of the cost kept going up and
Yes.
up and up. Now, at the house we have in New Hampshire, we have Spectrum. That also has doubled in price in the past 10 years. We'll see whether or not that changes. I think he canceled that and went to something else. I know we have Roku.
So how do you guys watch City Life?
I personally don't watch it because I'm here. But what Glenn does is he goes,
We can watch it on Facebook.
yeah, and he does, I don't know how he does it. He does something through the Roku and through other channels
See,
that
we
will
went
get
to, we moved to YouTube, 3 words put together, City Life Show. So if you go to YouTube and just put City Space Life
Yeah.
Space Show,
That's probably
bingo. That's where we are on YouTube.
Well, that's how I watch the local cable TV in Chelmsford. Because,
YouTube?
Yeah, because they put everything is on YouTube, and the quality is better than it was when I was watching it
Smart.
over the channel.
But anyway, so he did that. Now, I'm not technology challenged, but the older that I get, I really don't want to have to try to, I don't mind figuring things out, it's an accomplishment. I'm getting a little lazy, maybe I should call it that. I like to be able to turn it on. I knew what the stations were. I could DVR things. I had set it up my favorite shows so that if things are seasonal, they come up right away. They save them. I don't have to worry about looking it up and the whole 9 yards. So when John asked, well, what does Candy want? Well, when Glenn said, I'm going to get rid of this, and then
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
so what happened was, I said, well, I only have like 2 or 3 shows that I watch. Stations, as long as I can get. Oh, you can get them. You won't have any trouble.
Uh-oh.
So I asked.
Why do I feel that this isn't going to end well? Go ahead.
I don't watch very much TV anymore. It's
Because you can't.
because I
Yeah,
so
right. Took the shows away.
so what happens is that if we go to a certain station, there's only so many televisions that signal will go to.
That's right.
So if there's an overabundance of activity through the TVs that we have, then you've got to stream it, which means it's got to go through my telephone. I'm not doing that. The next thing is the TV programs that I want. I said something the other day, and, well, just ask your phone what app to use. What do you mean, what app to use? So we have the apps. So now I got to find the app.
That's
I've
why she
got to
doesn't
go
watch
on
much
the app.
TV.
I have to search on the app for the stations I want, and then when it comes up, it doesn't tell you what's, unless I'm mistaken, it doesn't necessarily give you a guide, so you know what you want to watch on that particular channel. What it does is it will give you the title of the program, and then you got to go there, and then you've got to hit the episodes that you want to watch. It isn't any different than BritBox, but it's just, and then each of the ones I have is a different app. So before I was able to be in, quote, on one app and go from one to the other and check it all out and DVR, and you can DVR on this too, and it's like hundreds versus what the limitation was on Comcast. There is a positive with regard to, there's a lot of positives.
Do you find the quality of the
I don't know,
picture
I
is
haven't
better?
done it yet,
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
in
Okay.
like a year.
She's doing a lot of reading now.
That's correct, I am.
Well, at some point,
Don't watch a lot of TV because I can't.
Well, again,
there isn't that much
there's a lot of
worth
stuff
watching.
I really don't want to watch.
Right.
There's a lot of anxiety in watching some television.
Especially when
And-
you can't get the channel.
Well, that's true, but.
What
and
you're
then-
looking at here is this is a look to the south. Over here is the former Sacred Heart Church up on Moore Street. And down here looks to be the diesel generators at the Markley Group. And they've been running since I got up this morning, so I guess they're cranking their generators out this
Must be
morning.
pretty
so,
good sized generators.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's big and from a distance. But
So
what,
I put this up now because I think once the sun comes up, we won't be able to see
Now,
those
do you
clouds.
do you know if they have to have a permit from the city to do that?
Oh, yeah, it's all the city's good graces.
Yeah.
Cities bow down to them, let them do what they, there's only one city councilor that's fighting them, it's Kim Scott. The rest of them are going like, oh, Markley, you're wonderful.
yeah, well, if they're paying taxes, or they're paying a portion of taxes.
So's the neighborhood.
I understand that, but remember that you have a split tax rate, so the businesses are paying more. And they
They're
want
not
to make sure
gonna
they keep
move.
them.
They're not gonna move. It's unhealthy for the neighborhood, and that's why I put it up there right now, because I think once the sun comes up, you won't be able to see this.
How long have they had those generators?
They put them in last summer. To
What
the
what they do?
complaints of all,
What they do before they had the generators?
they sucked all the electricity they could out of the neighborhood.
Okay, so it's a capacity issue then. Apparently, they use too much electricity.
So just so people understand, in
That's
case
a guess, Sam, we
you
don't know.
part of the reason, and it'll be interesting on summer to see if you have the same view.
Well,
Oh, I think in the summertime, air conditioning
they
season.
want to run the
the same
AC,
thing.
right?
Yeah, but if it's all diesel generated, I'm going somewhere with this. So what we see this morning, because it's like 10 degrees out there, a little less, maybe a little more, depending on where you are. There's a lot of water vapor in that, so when you burn any hydrocarbon, diesel's one of them, gasoline's another, oil, which we'll put oil in quotes because it's really a type of gasoline, kerosene. When you do that, one of the products of burning it is water. So because it's so cold, it may be we're seeing an awful lot of water
I'm sure that
going
yeah,
into the air.
vapor. right.
So the other products that you have when you do that, you have carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and sometimes carbon and water. So those are the products when you burn a hydrocarbon.
So do you think it's a healthy air attitude in the neighborhood over there?
I don't think so, because you still have the carbon dioxide,
Yeah.
which doesn't really hurt anybody necessarily, but you have carbon monoxide
Carbon monoxide will kill
going
you.
up. Yeah, and because, well, you have an absence. It's of pure oxygen. You need pure oxygen to breathe. You can't breathe carbon dioxide either.
Right.
That's our byproduct when we breathe out. So.
The trees do the reverse.
That's correct. Now, there was something interesting. I did not send you the article, but I did read it. It was a science article. It had to do with scientists being incorrect, making incorrect assumptions about
I'm
what
astounded to hear that.
what they're concerned about with the ice melting. We talked about this one time, the ice caps melting and stuff, and they're saying that because of whatever iron is in the ice that's melting isn't the best, so therefore, it's not generating more algae in the ocean, and then the ocean is absorbing more of the carbon dioxide than they anticipated. That's sort of what the article said, because they thought that the
And what's
ocean
the-
wasn't doing that.
And what's the effect of that over the long term, did they say?
Well, you're pulling the carbon dioxide out of the air
Right.
that they're claiming is causing
Right.
it to warm. And
Right.
it's not going to do that.
So it's like a sink, it's like a heat sink, okay?
Well, whatever it is,
Right.
it wasn't what they thought it was. I thought it was very interesting.
Well,
But it's complicated because of the chemistry that's involved.
I'm sure, and I don't really want to
And I don't want to go into all of
get into
that.
it too much, because I haven't read the article, and if I did, I
I'll
probably,
see if I can, not right now, but
I
I'll see
probably
if I can
wouldn't,
find
I
it.
probably wouldn't understand half of it anyway, but what I will say, based on what you just said, is that to me, it just sounds like another example of how Mother Nature takes care of stuff, okay? And we're concerned about global warming for several years, and now we hear what you've just said. That appears to be a natural phenomenon occurring that is counteracting what people think might be the cause of global warming.
Well, one of them.
Okay, one of them. So that's, Mother Nature
Well, then
again.
it doesn't work the way they thought it did.
The thing that I will always remember, because I just thought it was,
You want to read this, Sam?
yeah, go ahead. Good morning. The seal of Lowell has smokestacks on it. There you go.
Yeah,
Good
because
catch.
Mills,
Yeah. You probably remember a few years ago, don't remember how many now, you remember the British petroleum oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico or America, whichever your preference is. You remember when that happened? And it was in the news cycle for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the cameras showed the oil underneath, spewing out
Yep.
into the water, and gloom and doom and this and that. And all the scientists said, and then they finally capped it. I think it took a couple of weeks, if I remember, for them to shut that off. Okay? And all of the scientists at the time, the climate people and so forth, they all said that the effects of that oil leak would have devastating effect on the environment, the ocean, and so forth for a period of 100 years. That's what they said, 100 years. 6 months later, they couldn't even tell that it had happened, okay? And the moral of that story is that Mother Nature took care of it. Apparently, and again, I'm no scientist, but just going on what we observe and what the results are, 6 months later, they could not detect any significant impact to the ecosystem of the ocean. So all the scientists said, for 100 years, we're going to be dealing with the fallout of this thing. And within 6 months, the ocean had taken care of all that
Well, to a
excess
certain
petroleum that had. Now, they were still finding,
there's gobs of it on the beaches.
right, they were still finding some of that. But in terms of the long-term pollution, if you will, for lack of a better term, of the ocean, it wasn't there, okay? So,
Well, it's also a natural product.
it is.
So,
I guess my point is, you should be skeptical when you read things that purport to be scientifically backed up, and you can smell that it may be tinged with a little bit of a political agenda. You should be suspicious and seek out other sources of information and make sure you get the whole picture before you come to a conclusion. Because we're not scientists. I'm not a scientist. So when I heard those initial reports, I thought, well, I guess we're stuck with it for 100 years. And then you wait a little while and you find out it isn't quite what they predicted
well,
it was
there's a
going to be.
lot of that that's not
Right.
quite what they're talking about.
Exactly. So
And that goes with politics, too.
try to keep your emotions out of stuff like that, because that you get carried away with it, and then you get to the point where you can't hear the other side of the story, okay, because you don't want to, all right, and that's unfortunate.
Well, when I used to visit my sister, you had to be careful walking on the beaches because there'd be little gobs of oil and stuff like that. So there were still things happening as a result of what that was. So there are long-term effects to that. But again, it's a sort of a natural product that may be part of why nature can take care of it, but not necessarily. It just depends on the situation.
And the time frame, right.
Acres upon acres upon acres in the Pacific Ocean where a whole new ecosystem has been created because of the trash they've dumped out there. Now, it's not just the United States. We're a small ecosystem here. It's you've got everybody dumping everything out there that's along on those coasts, but the life in the ocean has adapted to it. They live in it.
That's the point.
But
that's always been the case.
right. But
The life forms that we have today are different from the life forms that they had several million years ago because of adaptation.
Well, they've adapted to a number of things, but we weren't around that long ago.
Right.
But there's been an awful lot of adaptation over the past 200 years. The thing that disturbs me the most, because you can't get it back, excuse me, is China destroying the coral reefs
Yes.
by building more islands. And we were talking briefly last week that if you have earthquakes, if it's not built on bedrock and something else, you build it on the sand, it's going, in an earthquake, it's going to shake down, liquefy. Glenn and I were in Cornell University decades and decades ago, and there was it was an engineering conference, and I went with him. I didn't have the kids. I went with him, and I would go to the different panel discussions or whatever the topics were. Well, one of the guys that talked and had slide presentation, he compared the earthquake in Kyoto, Japan at that time with San Francisco and Boston and a couple of other communities on the coasts, that when you have earthquakes, they have filled in so much land, like they did in Kyoto, that when it shakes, it liquefies because it's not rock. And that's why there'll be a lot of problems on the West Coast if they have a major earthquake. And the same thing in Boston, because the original land in Boston doesn't look like the land today, because they filled in the Back Bay, they filled in a lot of stuff. And when they filled it in, they didn't fill it in with rock on the bottom and then build up the base the way they were supposed to. They just filled it in with fill. So anyway, there's also in that what they call that ring of fire in the Pacific increases in earthquake activity. And there's earthquake activity on the West Coast. So just be cautious and be aware that if something should happen, if you are there, going there, that you'll know what to do. It was interesting, too, I read, since I've been reading an awful lot instead of television, I did not send this to you either, but it's historical, that I think in the 1800s, early 1800s, the Mississippi River flowed north for a short period of time because of the earthquake that happened in that area, because of the fault line. And things just were destroyed, and things were flooded and all kinds of stuff all along that route. So I didn't know that.
I didn't. That's news to me.
I was very surprised.
That sounds pretty interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's interesting out there when you begin to read, even though Google is selective on what it feeds as far as newsworthy articles go. But as far as any articles go, a lot of us, do watch Facebook. And if you're watching Facebook or any number of things, you should always question the article. And what I try to do, and I would make a suggestion that everybody else does this, it does take a little bit of work. If you're lazy, you can rely on somebody else's opinion, whether it's true or not true. And we see an awful lot of that untrue stuff lately. So what I try to do is balance it. I try to go to The Guardian, Politico, CNN, NPR, whatever it is, even BBC, and ask my phone the question about the topic that is being brought up in the reel or an article or somebody's podcast or whatever it might be, so I can check to see if what they're claiming is accurate. And there's a lot of it that isn't accurate at
On
all.
both sides.
Well, it doesn't really matter whether it's conservative or
No,
liberal. I check it all.
And what you're saying is what, if you really want to get the facts and not just a biased opinion, then that's what you have to do. And you give the example of CNN, and we'll use the counterpoint of Fox. And I'll take two very well-known and well-respected historians that are also political commentators, Heather Cox Richardson, and she's a leftist, and Victor Davis Hanson, who is quite conservative on the right. And I get feeds from them through my Facebook. And Cox Richardson, she puts out a thing about every 3 days, every other day or so. You get 3 or 4 a week on whatever the topics are, and Victor Davis Hanson does the same. So I read both, okay? She's on the left, he's on the right. And and they're both highly intelligent, very well-respected historians in their respective spaces, okay? Cox Richardson is an East Coast person, and Hanson is out on the West Coast. And both of them leave stuff out, slant, and to their biases. They are both biased in their writings, as well respected as they are. They're both biased, okay? And then you superimpose that onto your TV networks. The same thing with Fox, the same thing with CNN. You know, they give their audience what they think their audience wants to hear. That's what they do, okay? So if you want to understand what's really going on, you have to go to the source. Quick example. A couple of weeks ago, I watched the vice president give a speech. He spoke for 42 minutes, okay, a number of topics. And regardless of what you think of Vance, love him or hate him, he's a good speaker, okay? He speaks well. And 42 minutes. The following day, I watched Fox.
When you get a breath, breathe.
Yep, I watched Fox give a 2-minute clip on the vice president's speech, and they excerpted certain things, and then they talked about it for 5 minutes.
And that was it.
Trying to get you to believe certain things. I watched the same thing on CNN. They did the same thing. They clipped, a minute and a half or so out. And if you watched Fox and CNN, you would have thought they were talking about 2 different speeches, okay? And I watched the speech, so I know what the man said, and that's what you have to do. If the President of the United States makes a speech, and sometimes it's tough because Trump likes to talk, okay? But I listen to the whole speech, and then you know what I do? I shut the TV off, because I don't need a bunch of talking heads telling me what the man said. I just heard it, okay?
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't like that. So
No, they don't listen to the speech. They don't read the whole thing. They listen to a 2-minute thing or
Sam,
an opinion.
Nobody wants
Yeah.
5 paragraphs, which
Well-
can be synopsized in one
well,
sentence.
that's the
But the
American. Everything has
politicians-
to happen yesterday.
Politicians suck up time.
Yep.
It's like when I go to a funeral and the priest goes, wow, I got a huge crowd. And the guy gives a 90-minute mass. You think these people are coming back? No. Well, they love me. No, they're here for the family.
Yeah. Okay, so this says Senator Tsongas told the public that the north end would be underwater. Pretty sure it's not. But we also, you're talking about,
That was a while ago.
yeah, and when we talk about coastlines, we have had a number of discussions. Articles out there will appear every so often on Google about how a lot of coastal cities are sinking. It isn't that you
Not
just
just
have
Venice.
the water rising, you have the cities sinking. When
Yep.
you put that amount of weight on anything, okay, depending upon, what's under it, it's only gonna take so much weight. That's why you have all these regulations when you build buildings, how high they can be, the strength of the steel, how thick it can be, the type of concrete that you use, where all the supports go. They do that so that your building doesn't fall over or collapse.
Well,
But
you're
at
right.
some point,
There's no guarantee if it does. It's this malarkey of, the town's inspecting your property so they can tax your head off. Oh, we will have to inspect that. Why? It's for taxes.
Well, it keeps somebody else in a job, but
Because when something goes wrong with a building, why doesn't the city pay? They inspected it.
there are investigations and
And
sometimes
what
there are
happens when we
lawsuits.
find out that it
I
was
didn't do
inspected?
any research on that part, John, but I think that.
Do research on that, Evelyn. The city inspected something, the town inspected it, the building failed. The town
All right,
doesn't pay a dime.
So you had, we're going off on a different tangent here. Well, you had the buildings in Florida that that collapsed. Obviously, there were inspections, there was different kinds of things. I haven't researched it, but my guess is that in the investigative aspect of things, somewhere along the line, the owner of the building or somebody that owned the condo part probably sued the city because the city was not doing the upkeep on the
Now what the
inspections on the
routine
property.
is, the routine is this now. The city hires a third company to do the inspections.
Doesn't matter, they
kind
still
of-
can,
What kind of inspections? Building inspections?
yeah,
Let's take one of my favorites. They check the fresh water coming into my building. It's $100 for each hot and cold, so it's $200. They inspect the water to make sure it's not going into the toilet.
The city does that?
Twice a year. Everyone in Chelmsford does it too. Twice a year they check it. They charge $200 every time they come.
I've never had my water
I
inspected.
didn't have my
Oh.
water inspected.
It's commercial.
Commercial, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
right, all right.
We
It's
do
not
have-
okay. Why is it? Why?
We have a private water department in Chelmsford.
Silly.
It's not municipal. They do.
But my point is, Evelyn,
monitor
they used to have the
effectiveness of their
city do it.
meters.
They used to have the city do it. And then the lawyer for the city at one point said, or the state said, you can't do this because you're liable. You inspect it. Get a third party to do the inspection, keep reaping the money out of it. So the city hires a guy to come in and do it for $25, and they keep the 75.
Well, anyway, the thing is that if certain things happen and they'll do an investigation of it, and if they find out that the owner is liable, then they have to figure out where the money's coming from for the people of the building. If they find out that it's the inspector that's liable or it got paid under the table, then that's something.
That's a different story.
Then now you have them that's liable.
But
Because we have a legal system that likes to
But if you own a
sue it.
building, if you build a building and you own the building, you are responsible for its maintenance and its upkeep and making sure that it complies with any codes that apply.
Well, yeah, and we could go to New York City and say about all of the different landlords that they want to have rent control and all the other stuff, but the costs are going up, and if you want to have a building that is safe. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody is equal here in terms of how they deal with their property
And it
and
doesn't
how they
mean that people
manage.
it doesn't mean that people are honest about what they do. I remember, and you probably remember this because I think you were on the school committee at the time, many, many years ago, 25 years ago now, when we were talking about a big school project in Chelmsford, and I'll never forget this one fella standing up in town meeting, and this guy had actually worked on the construction crew of the high school back in the early 70s.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
said, do you remember this? And I'll never forget, he got up and he says, he said, we were supposed to put insulation in the walls, okay, like the poured
That's right, he
insulation.
did.
And he said, we never did, but we charged the town for it. Do you remember that?
Well, I didn't hear him say the last
And I
part.
thought, oh my God, no wonder it is so cold in those buildings and the heat bill is so high, there's no insulation in the walls, right? And, that kind of stuff happens all the time.
This guy makes a good point.
So
The
why
city's going to get sued.
so why is the smokestack at Markley Building not higher? We don't even know if there are smokestacks there, by the way. That'll benefit more falls on the inspection department of law. Depends on what the regulations are.
Well, they've got a permit according to John, so
Yeah,
whatever
so
they're doing must be in compliance,
And,
right?
yeah, with whatever your regulations are.
Well, say, when you go to court, okay, so I got sick because of the exhaust here. When you go to court in front of a jury, the jury doesn't care that you had a permit. You damaged, that smoke damaged me.
Well, that's true, because there's an awful lot of stuff environmentally that people do, and they may have a permit, like dumping stuff. And, when they had all of the different cancer outbreaks and people dying, people were being paid under the table to allow them to dump all of the chemicals.
I'm shocked to hear that.
But they were dumping the chemicals because they said they could dump the chemicals. And so there's movies on that stuff. So anyway, moving right along as far as the smokestack thing goes, there's a lot of stuff out there. We were talking about regulations. We're talking, and we could come back to that wonderful phrase, rule of law, that people throw out there, and a lot of people have no idea what that means. It's that you have laws, statutes, regulations that have been voted on that need to be followed.
Oh, no, I'm going to pick and choose the ones I want to obey,
I got that.
depending on my political philosophy.
Right. And I should have sent this to John. He could put this up. Because we might as well start talking politics, because there's not so much stuff that's out there that drives me nuts.
Send it to my Facebook Messenger,
Oh,
please.
my God. Now I got to get into that.
Well, when you email, it's just which email, and it's just, Facebook's already open.
I got you there, but I'm telling you that when I usually send it to a text message. I never send it to email unless it's absolutely necessary.
If I get stuff from people, and they go, why didn't you put up my announcement? Where'd you send it? Your email. What email? Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know either.
This is interesting that just popped up on Facebook. This morning around 5 a.m., Crooked Spring was blocked off, rerouting traffic through Princess Ave to Graniteville Road with Richardson Road blocked
Why?
near Sully's. Lots of police presence in that area this morning. I don't know.
Doesn't say why?
No, it's only 13 minutes ago.
Oh, well, okay, we'll have to wait.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Sounds like a pedestrian got hurt running.
Or a kid, well, it's 5 a.m., so it's not kids going to school.
Well, people jog, adults jog
Yeah, they
at 5
do.
a.m.
Oh, yeah, they do. All right, so I got to get on here. I don't
Well,
wanna
that's
go here.
that's not good.
No. I did send you a bunch of stuff, though, John. But some of it isn't there. Some of it is interesting, so let me see if I can figure out how to
I
do this.
did listen to Tom Homan yesterday. I listened to the whole speech unedited, so I know exactly what he said, and can tell you whether the reporting on Fox and CNN was accurate or not.
So I sent that to you, by the way, John.
Oh, okay. It's lighting up now.
And then I think I have another one. So it would be the one that just came in. I'm not sure what that is, so before I do this, I gotta check. I can't see it. Everything's so tiny.
Get a bigger phone.
No, I need to do this.
Whenever I'm
Oh, I got this
whenever I'm reading anything on my computer, I now find myself making everything bigger.
Here we go, Ev.
Well, that's one of them. Anyway, this came across on Facebook earlier when we take a look at the deportations that's out there. I don't have the source of this on this photograph, but everybody can check it. You can take a look and make a comparison with the last three presidents and our current one and the protests. And when you do read, and I would challenge anyone that says, well, it's different now. Well, it isn't any different. You have the same rules and regulations. The difference is that people don't like the person that's in the office.
That's
all.
98%
That's
of it.
all.
Yep.
And you want to make everybody look as bad as possible because you don't like what's going on.
Why don't you read what you're talking about off the screen?
So Clinton had 12.5 million deportations. Bush had 10.3. Obama had 5.3. They had no protests and no riots. And so far, Trump has had 2 million, and he's had 500 protests or riots, as the case may be. And there's a lot of them that's happening in Minneapolis simply because there's a lot of us that truly believe that part of that reason is number one, you don't have the police protecting their citizens. They were told not to. It isn't that they're not cooperating with ICE, they're not protecting the citizens, whether they're legal or illegal.
Well, they're not engaging in crowd control for
And
the so-called...
people aren't pulling permits.
Right, for the so-called
And they're
protesters,
not, well,
right.
and they're not peaceful. When you start throwing bricks at somebody, you're no longer peaceful.
Right.
Or whatever you want to throw at them. And so there's fraud within that community, and this is a smokescreen with regard to that. But you also had Holman on there basically saying they're going to withdraw the ICE agents, not because the riot is won, but because if there's cooperation, like in other cities and states, with the local police, and you give them the people that have gone through a process, they've been convicted in a court of law for murder, rape.
Or their charges are pending. If these people are incarcerated, they're in the custody of the local authorities for whatever reason, then what Holman said was, the deal is this: I'm going to draw down 700 agents on the street. We'll take them off the street, but we have to have the cooperation of the local authorities that when they have these folks legitimately in jail, that they will allow us to come into the jails and pick them up. He said that requires 2 officers, as opposed to an average of 10 officers to pull that guy off the street if he's out in the community. So that's what Holman said. Seems pretty reasonable to me, and that's the process that was followed under those 3 ex-presidents that you had up there, okay? That's what they did. What you have now, and I believe Evelyn is absolutely correct, and it has nothing to do with anything other than we hate Trump and we think he's the devil, and we want to make that point. Although I personally question the way that some of these enforcement activities have been carried out.
I don't condone it all either.
No, I mean...
I've made points in past shows.
To go backwards, I mean, to me, Holman should have been in charge of the thing from day one, because he's the expert. He's been doing this for 35 years. He worked under 4 different presidents. President Obama, actually a Democrat, actually gave Tom Holman an award, okay, for service. So this guy has the knowledge, he has the experience, and I'm going to guess that now that he's associated with Trump, probably he's tainted and people think differently about him, which is unfortunate. But I don't think Tom Holman has changed much over the last 35 years. He's well respected, and I wish he had been allowed to manage these processes, because I think if that had happened a year ago, you would have had 90% of the focus on people that had actual criminal warrants and arrestees and so forth, and you might not have had this level of confusion. But having said that, hopefully this can be fixed going forward, and he certainly is a credible person. But the point is that, however you feel about it, and what I tell people, people want to have a discussion. And I'm not going to waste my time arguing with somebody whose mind is already made up. So I always start off with, okay, are you a person who believes that we should have no borders, that anybody should be able to come into the country? And if the answer is yes, then I stop the discussion, because we're not going to go anywhere. All right? That person has his opinion is that we shouldn't have borders. Anybody who wants to come into the country should be allowed to do so. And if you're starting from that point, then you can't have a discussion. So you say, okay, very good, that's your opinion, you're entitled, you're an American, you're entitled to that opinion, but I'm not going to argue with you because it'll be fruitless. So you have to start from a point where both sides believe that immigration should be controlled to a degree. If you're starting from that point, then you can have a discussion, okay? But my thought is that 10 to 15% of the American public who's paying attention to this firmly believes we shouldn't have borders, okay? So,
Well, then let
but
them
that
pay
means,
first.
but that means that 85% of the country does believe that there should be some sort of immigration control. So that's a good starting point, isn't it? If 85% of your people feel, yeah, we should check people who come in and there should be some control. That's your starting point, okay? Forget the 15% that don't believe in borders. You're not going to ever change their minds, and they're in an extreme minority anyway. So to your point, starting in 1952, the Congress passed all these immigration laws. They've been amended, to a degree over the years, but the basic thrust has not changed. We want to take a look at people who come into our country. We want to have them go through some sort of vetting process, okay?
And there's reasons why you do
right,
that.
and that all disappeared 5 years ago under the Biden administration. And to your point, my opinion is very simple. The initial reason for that was because Trump was controlling immigration, so that must have been bad, so we're not going to control it. And then I think a whole bunch of other people jumped on and said, well, this is a good thing to get all these people in, because now they're going to be counted in the census. That leads to how congressional seats are apportioned and so on and so forth. And there's all kinds of other reasons why some people would want, those folks coming into the country unvetted. Okay, but I think the initial reaction was, it's Trump, it's bad, we have to do the opposite of what he was doing. If you go before Trump, you find that all these Democrats voted very much in favor of controlling immigration. Hillary Clinton voted, when she was a senator, she voted to build a wall, okay? And that's a fact. You can check that out. She voted to build a wall, okay? You'd never know it today.
Well, even when you listen to what former presidents have said about immigration and about illegal aliens, we can call them that, because they're not legal in this country,
They're here,
and they're not
they're here
alien to
illegally,
this
right.
country.
They're here illegally.
Let's not change the meaning of words, and just because it promotes my political view. It's almost as if Trump took excerpts from their speeches. So there is an inconsistency within, and I'll just within both parties when they're talking about things, and you have every right to change your mind, but when you have consistently over decades and decades, because all these people have been there for a long time, up until recently, their views were consistent. And what was the deciding factor for them to change?
Trump came into office.
Trump was elected.
Right.
So when you look for the common denominator
Right.
on it, and again, it doesn't mean that we agree with every single thing that our current president is doing. I have criticisms. It doesn't mean that we agree with every tactic that ICE has used either. It means that we have thought about it enough, we've done enough research, and we have our own opinion. And as I said before, it may be the same opinion as somebody else, but we didn't take their opinion and not ask questions about it or analyze it, and just took it for, the truth. We want to make sure that we know what that is, because there's been so much changing of definitions of words, accusations, insults, anything to try to shut your mouth up, to try to put you down instead of trying to have conversation.
Well, when you're in a discussion with somebody and you've got opposing points of view and you're arguing your side, the minute one side calls you a name, you've won the argument.
Well, yeah.
Because that person has run out of arguments and now he has to resort to character assassination. So you've won the argument. The minute somebody calls you stupid or a moron or a racist or a bigot, you've won
Or
the
a
argument.
white supremacist.
You've won the argument.
And there's a number of things that we're going to talk about in the next hour. One is this voter ID. I don't want to get on that tangent, that story right now, because there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about with regard to that. We got to talk about some of the stuff going on in Chelmsford. There is a meeting tonight at the Senior Center for
Yes.
the Zoning Board of Appeals with regard to what's going on in North Chelmsford and all the trucks and everything that's up there.
Asphalt plant, right?
Yep, so it is a public hearing. I
Be
know
interesting
that
to
my
see
husband's going.
Oh, good. Be interesting to see how many people show up for
Well,
that.
that's why they're having it at the senior center, because they figure that they might have at least 100.
Wonder if
and
it'll be televised.
Usually they are. If they're televised, there's capability of televising
Right.
it there. They have that.
My guess is it
I just have
probably
some
will be.
commitments with grandchildren, so I don't know if
Yeah.
I can do that. But we'll make that announcement the next time too. Having thought about that, I think that the email came through to me too late to have somebody scheduled to come on to talk about it. It would have been nice to have Everett Olson to come on again
Or the
and
building,
talk
or
about
the
it.
building inspector. Because he issued the cease and desist order.
Yeah, but I don't know if he'd come on. I know Paul wouldn't mind him to come on, but maybe what we do is we
Well,
have him on in the
Paul
future.
could have talked about it if he were here.
Right, but Paul will be on in a couple of weeks tentatively. So today,
Meaning the town manager, Paul Cohen.
yes, Paul
Paul
Cohen, the
Cohen,
town
right,
manager of
town
You
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford insiders talk like that all the time.
Well,
Well,
anyway.
everybody does that, and you're right, it's not good. I know.
It's like when they go like, oh, it's the LMNOP.
Exactly, and. because-
QRS.
Yeah, because you know it, you think
I don't know
everybody
what
else
the hell you're
knows it.
talking about. Abbreviation, and they do it in the city all the time.
Well,
Well, I
Listen
try
to a
to-
city
we
hall
all-
meeting, LMNOP.
but John, I think we all do it, and it's unconscious. And I know when I'm doing my show, if I have a guest and he uses acronyms or uses his own jargon for his thing, even if I know what it is, I stop him
have
and I
him
ask him to
define it.
explain, because the audience may not know.
Right,
Well,
and
yeah.
we've said
My
if-
longtime friend Cliff will flip out a word I've never heard in my life. And I'll ask everybody at the panel, what does he mean? What does that
Yeah,
word
right.
mean?
You ask what it means, right?
And then Cliff goes, you don't know what that means.
Well, anyway, and then you can put it up on the screen, and then everybody else will know. The homeless are now labeled the
The
unhoused. Like I said, they keep trying to downplay the severity of whatever it is that you think that the definition was.
Well, you know what Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So, regardless of what you call things, it doesn't change the basic nature of the thing you're calling,
That's
right?
correct. The local media here in Massachusetts is really tough to watch.
Yes.
These dorks actually think they're celebrities. Well,
It's all about ratings, folks.
yeah.
They-
And they don't have any.
They gauge what they think their audience wants to hear, and they give it to them. That's what they do, all right? Very
Well,
simple.
when I hear two old timers that are sitting at the table today saying they dropped Comcast and they dropped Comcast
Yep.
TV and they now get it over the internet.
Yep,
That is devastation to News Center 5.
absolutely,
I don't watch 5.
absolutely.
Well, I shouldn't say that.
You don't watch TV because you can't get channels, Evelyn.
I
Well,
watch-
I mean,
You read books.
I watch Fubo when I can. But I.
You used to have BritBox and all this
Oh,
other
no,
stuff.
we still have BritBox.
She has
I know how to
BritBox.
do that. I know how to navigate. I
have
just don't want to.
BritBox. Now, courtesy of the Thorens,
Oh, yeah.
I have BritBox, and I love it, because I love British TV.
Oh, yeah. Some of it's funny. Some of it's very stressful. We had BritBox because we wanted to watch all of the Agatha Christie
Yep.
murder mysteries. And then what we did was we made comparisons. Here again is, we just don't take one. We want to see what other people have done as far as their artistic license goes. So many people may think of Agatha Christie with Murder on the Orient Express, and you've got Evil Under the Sun. That was one of the first ones I watched with Cole Porter music, which I absolutely love. And then there's The One on the Nile. I mean, there's a lot of them, and a lot less known ones. So then what we did was we watched the different movies that that Hollywood had made out of these murder mysteries. And you have different levels of that over time, and made the comparisons to see who did what was in what wasn't in what. So, and then you had different Hercule Poirots of the actors that were either in the movie and or that she changed up. But
Real quick, do they show Monty Python on BritBox?
I don't know.
Yes,
I'm sure they do. It's Britain.
They have all the old British comedies.
Okay, you guys have 30 seconds before we go to break.
Right. So anyway, we'll pick this up where we left off in terms of discussion television again, and we're going to talk about voter ID. But we'll be back very shortly.
And I'm going to get
Taking
some
a short
coffee.
break. Another cup of coffee.
Well, I have to be careful because I have to go to the Neshoba breakfast after this. So
But I want to push.
I can't eat breakfast at 9:30 in the morning.
Well, then don't.
Well, I had like a half a bowl of Cheerios just to have something.
So what we're looking at here, this is looking towards South Lowell. This is the Sacred Heart Church here. And these are the exhausts from the smokestacks that the neighborhoods complain about at the Markley company. Used to be Prince Macaroni. And that's what we're looking at. We'll be with you in a second.
Nobody ever complains except Glenn. I talk too softly. Hi, we're back. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host up until 7:59:29 or something like that.
29? Oh.
Well, that's what Glenn said. We're off in Chelmsford at
Well,
that point.
We'll take his word for it.
And anyway, Sam Chase is my co-host this morning. He's back, at least today. John McDonough is behind the camera. You can hear him in the background many times. So we were talking about a whole pile of stuff when we ended. There's a lot of stuff that I'd like to get to. One of the things, if you've just joined us and you are interested in what's going on in Swain Road in North Chelmsford, there is a public hearing this evening for the Zoning Board of Appeals. It is at the Senior Center. You can check online with regard to times. I don't know if it's at 6 or 7. I do not recall that. Would have to look that up. At some point, I'm going to ask John to put up on the screen from the Town of Chelmsford website the election, the information. Chelmsford has an election April, the first week, the first Tuesday of April every year. That's our local election. We know that Lowell has theirs in November, and every city and town has something a little bit different, depending upon what they want. Yeah, so, but there are regulations or laws. Well, it sounds very interesting behind us, if you can hear the sirens. We're not sure what that's all
They
They
about.
know what they're doing.
I hope so.
They're gonna make sure they go by and be screaming by
Could you
here.
hear us?
Yeah,
If you were asleep, you aren't anymore.
Yeah.
You should hear the city council meeting when the fire departments go. It's like they park outside the city council window.
Well, they do it on purpose.
well,
Yes,
it's
they
hard
do.
not to do it in Chelmsford because the Center Fire Station is next door. So if they have anything, you're gonna hear it, in Chelmsford.
Oh, I hear it.
All the time, so.
Yeah.
You get used to it after a while. I did.
They have a self-imposed rule, though, for the central fire headquarters anyway, and I'm sure it's the same with the other stations. Coming out of the station, they don't turn the siren on for a period of time, so that they don't disturb the people that live right next to the fire
In
station.
Lowell, they tell you it's the law. We had one maniac in Billerica, because Billerica has their own ambulance. They would have the sirens singing all the way down Gorham Street at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
With no traffic, right?
And our fire department called Billerica and said, knock it off.
Really?
That's what I heard through the grapevine.
If there's no traffic,
That's the only reason you have
They
it, is
don't
to
need
make
to
people
run
know
the
You don't
you're
hear
coming.
sirens at 3 o'clock in the morning in Lowell.
right,
Oh, yeah, you had this, that was out there, design public hearing. They're gonna reconstruct the Lowell connector. No,
And they're gonna put a rotary.
oh, that's too bad.
that'll be fun. Well,
They're
in,
taking away people's driveways.
in Pelham, New Hampshire,
So
at
this
the-
is, but if you could, this is a public hearing they're gonna have virtually.
When is it?
It's gonna be Wednesday, February 11th.
next
at
week.
7
Oh, I
PM.
see it at the bottom.
And they
Okay.
have a little link right here.
Yep.
So go over to your TV set and take a picture of this. They have a QR code. I don't know where this will bring you, but if you zoom your camera in on that, it'll bring you to more information. And the intersection of the Lowell Connector, Gorham Street would be converted to a roundabout.
God.
It's a
Oh,
rotary.
Oh, boy.
Gorham Street would be modified to include a travel lane and a bicycle lane in each direction.
That doesn't sound good.
The traffic signal at Gorham and Highland and Elm Street will be upgraded. And they could save a lot of money if they just upgrade that traffic signal, and all the traffic problems will go away.
So why are they going to a rotary? Do we know?
The state doesn't take questions.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought maybe you'd know.
All right, so, if
Because
we,
they have a friend that wants to do the project.
Jeez.
well, I don't know anything about that, but
That's what I think.
Traffic
Well-
circle is, traffic circles work really, really well in low-traffic areas with feeder roads. But the minute you get a lot of traffic,
we know that from the Drum
the
Hill Rotary.
rotaries don't work.
Drum Hill Rotary,
Okay.
the reason they put all those lights in is because of how many accidents there
didn't
were
work.
with people with
Yeah,
on the rotary.
It didn't work.
However, that being stated, a
Yeah.
positive is at the end of Sherbourne Street and Mammoth Road that it connects to. Mammoth goes into Drake and Lowell.
Yes.
They put a rotary. It works better than what was there. They had a stop sign.
But how much traffic flow do they typically
The
have?
traffic flow is mostly when people get out of work in the afternoon, where it would back up for like
Okay.
a mile on Sherborne. I haven't been up there at that point in time to see how it operates, but to me, currently the way it operates is a lot simpler and easier because everybody understands a rotary. There's a lot of rotaries in New Hampshire, and
don't-
they seem to work.
You don't
I
find
have
them-
not accessed
You
any
don't find them
accident
in other
accident
parts of the
reports, though.
country. They're, outside of New England, the traffic roundabout, circle, rotary, whatever you want to call it, is rare. You don't find it in other parts of the country.
Well, they have, many times they have it here simply because of the way the original streets
Right,
were created.
exactly.
But anyway, so that's kind of interesting. I did see that, and I figured you would bring it up this morning. But there is
interesting.
that ZBA meeting tonight. You want to check that. At some point, like I said, if we get onto the Town of Chelmsford website, we'll be able to check.
Oh, tell them why we're having the meeting.
It's on Swain Road, and you have a lot of trucks that are not supposed to be.
From the asphalt plant, which
In-
is right over the Chelmsford line in Westford. So the town of Chelmsford has absolutely no ability to control what goes on at the asphalt plant.
And we
because-
can't tax them
because-
either.
Yeah, because it's in a different town.
It might be interesting to set up a toll booth that as every truck comes out, there's a certain amount that's
State
taken
won't
out.
let you do that.
I know. Well,
I'd like to do it.
how do we know? Is there a statute that says that you can't do that?
They already talked about that.
There's other ways for them to get out. It's
Well,
just a question of them trying to pursue
It's-
that.
First of all, it's a state road, so the town doesn't have any jurisdiction over that.
Swain Road is a state road?
Well, Route 40, when they come out.
Yes, but
yeah.
the side streets are ours.
Well, that's true.
So
that's
it
true.
isn't like we're gonna charge them anything on a state road. We
But
charge it on a private road.
And I don't know specifically, I'd have to look it up, but there are statutes, the highways, Chapter 90 statutes that govern even the administration of local roads. The town has some authority over it, but it's not 100%. It's not complete control and authority, so.
Well, anyway.
Remember, folks, in Massachusetts, the cities and towns are creatures of the state legislature, okay? And an awful lot of conflict and bad feeling results because residents think that your local officials have a lot more control than they actually do. Most things that have to be done may be voted at a local level, but they have to be approved or overseen by the state. A lot of people don't understand that. I didn't understand it when I first went on the Finance Committee, and I got one heck of an education when I got on there, and I realized that the town of Chelmsford can't make a move in many areas until the state blesses it, okay? And that's a problem. That creates problems.
Well,
Just my
it-
little
it-
editorial comment.
And whether or not
Yeah.
the city and town wants to have something like the MBTA
Well,
zoning.
that's a perfect
And
example.
the AUDs and all the other stuff that's out there,
Perfect
whether you
example.
want it or not.
You're gonna get
State
it.
made you do
You're
it.
gonna get it, right.
And also, if we want to go to the next level,
Hmm.
we have a lot of people that believe that there's a certain sovereignty within a state, but if the federal government tells you to do something, my understanding is you shall do it. And that's where,
Well, it depends on what it is they're telling you to do and what.
well, don't you have federal law?
You do, but if, there are cases where the federal authority cannot dictate what the state does. You know, you have to read the 10th Amendment to the federal Constitution to understand that, because
Okay, kids, this is where they're
Yeah.
this is the end of the little connector
That's an interesting view.
on Gore Street.
and they're gonna make a rotary out of it.
They gotta back it up.
Well,
they're
this is
gonna
the
have to
best
back-
picture I can give you.
No, I didn't mean you back up the
So
photo. I didn't mean
The
that.
state doesn't care for questions, okay? They don't care for your interjection. This is a smoke and mirrors meeting they're gonna have February 11th. I'll go to it. You have to pre-register.
Smoke
You
and
don't
mirrors
pre-register, you
meeting. I like
can't
it.
go. And, but I wanna tell you what's gonna happen
All right.
is,
Yeah, show us.
see this guy here, this guy here,
They're
this guy
gone.
here?
They're
They're all
gone.
gonna lose their driveway.
Oh, okay.
Their driveway's gone. See this driveway? Gone. They're taking it away.
And it's not much of a driveway. I mean,
They're taking this guy's driveway away.
they're already close to the street, right? How
So
much
They're taking
driveway?
away all these driveways
Yeah.
to put a rotary in here that nobody wants.
Oh, they're gonna be
All they
happy.
have to do is turn this into a smart light that can read how much traffic's there, find somebody who can actually operate the traffic light, and keep the traffic flowing. Now, page 2 here is, we'll go down the street. They're bragging, they're gonna change this, like, they're gonna spend millions of dollars on this. This is my neighborhood, I walk around here. Whoops, too far. Turn around, go back.
Yep.
Go back.
Now,
All
let
right,
me
so
ask you,
you're coming in the connector, and you come up to this traffic light
yeah.
at the gas station, at the extra mount.
Yeah.
Okay?
very familiar
Now,
with the
when you look
area.
at this light here, you've just gone through it. All I have to do is make this light green for 45 seconds instead of 30. It'll clear up all the traffic problems. Rita Mercia, I would call her and I'd say to her, Rita, can you get this light fixed? The city would come down and reprogram this traffic light to be green to Gorham Street for 45 seconds and green for Elm and Highland for 30 seconds. And it cleared the traffic. It's on 30 seconds. This thing turns green. It doesn't clear the bottleneck, so it backs up to the connector. The connector can go nowhere because it's all backed up. All we need to do is buy a new traffic light for here, and it's all fixed.
Let me ask you a question. This rotary that they're gonna construct, it sounds to me like this is a solution in search of a problem. Is that right? I mean, are they making it worse?
Nobody asked for it. It come out of the
Yeah,
blue.
Right. So did the city spend several $100,000 on traffic studies?
I
to-
have,
to
see,
arrive
the
at
city
this
hires their friends, and there's a lot of money that goes down the drain. We have no idea where it went.
So Eric can't find out.
This is years. I
I'm
went to
sure-
a public hearing probably 10 years on this.
I'm sure they hired
When you
engineers.
go to the public hearing, they may say, well, we did this study, we did that study, and this is on.
Couldn't care less. It needs 2 traffic lights. That's all you, don't
No, I
disrupt.
didn't mean that it shouldn't be the way you want it. I'm just saying to you that they
What the-
should give you the history
Yeah.
and tell you why they're doing it, not just because they want to. We've done this study and it shows this, and we've done that study and it shows that. That's how normally these
Hopefully
go.
that's what they're doing. We'll see.
Right, so
Right.
So look at, before I imbibe here, what do I got today?
well, that's chocolate zucchini bread.
Okay. And you give me 2 though. What's this guy?
That one that has squash in it because I had butternut squash
see.
left
I should
over.
do this one first.
But there's-
You're getting your vegetables, okay?
And then there's chopped up walnuts in both of them. There's craisins in that one.
Very healthy.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ev.
I should have brought in Charlotte's oatmeal.
Yeah, then we would have been really healthy. You have your oatmeal and fruit.
Oatmeal craisin cookies are delicious. I love them.
But anyway, at some point you can get that website up too for Chelmsford.
Where did you send it?
I didn't send it at all. You just have to go on.
You want the town website?
Yes, please, so
Yeah.
that we can go to the town clerk
Should
and
be
we can
on the
find
front-
out what the
yeah.
voter stuff's
Should
going
be
on.
right on the front page.
Just so that we can get
I'll
that
go after it in a
announcement
second.
out.
Should be right on the front page. Somebody pulled for the selectman seat yesterday.
Do we know who it is?
Well, I know the name, but I don't know the person.
Well, when we look at it,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that, because I wondered. Because if I thought it was going to be the last minute, even I would sit there and wait.
Well, you've got until next Thursday to pull.
I don't want to race. I haven't got the time for this. I would love to be able to do something, just simply because that's me, but,
Well, you could have done the 1 year if John hadn't pulled.
that's
for it.
correct, but he pulled.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know he wanted to do that. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens in the future. I'm getting too old for some of this stuff too.
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel too. Plus
So
I'm
what
too
we were
involved
talking
with other
about
stuff.
was federal law versus sovereign state. And there are federal laws, like what goes on with immigration, that my understanding is that the state has to abide by those laws.
Okay, but that's a specific thing. You're talking about one specific area of the law, which is immigration. It's been well established, even recently with Supreme Court cases, it's been well established that only the federal authority can prevail in the enforcement of immigration law. So the states, you remember Texas tried a year or so ago to tackle the border crossing, and the feds came in and said, nope, can't do it, and then the courts
Yeah, they
said,
took down the
they said you
fence.
can't
So
do
where are we
it,
going
okay?
here, kids?
Departments.
Right.
Unless there's,
Well-
I can't see everything, then you go to town clerk,
It should have been on the front.
right, on the right, I know, it should
There
have
you
been on
go.
the front page.
Yeah, see.
Now,
what
scroll down, and
Yeah.
then we can see, 2026.
Dog
okay, that's
licensing?
it, no, they.
No, the annual town election, the first one up there, open seats and pulled
Well,
papers
there's a lot of
list.
information I'm
Right
looking at
there,
here, Evelyn.
right
That's
there.
okay, I'm
That's
not
it.
angry.
That's it, click there, should have it. Here we go.
Okay, so you have to get your this is Chelmsford. You have to get your nomination papers
To do a
by,
freebie job, right? Freebie, nobody's getting paid.
Nobody
nobody's
gets
getting paid.
Nobody gets paid.
February 12th by
You want
5
to
PM.
volunteer for the town and fight for your seat.
The reason they have it
Yeah.
on the Thursday is because Friday they close at 1. And then you gotta have signed papers by the 17th. The last day to register for vote is the 27th of March, if
We
you're
got a
gonna
whole
register
month
to
to
vote.
go.
There you go.
And now you have, these are the town-wide offices that are available in 2026. This is all on the Town of Chelmsford,
Yep.
Massachusetts website.
I'm sure
where-
they're diving right in there right now.
Oh, I am
Sam,
sure.
who's running for selectman?
You just scroll it
Well,
down.
scroll it down
Keep
and you-
scrolling,
and you
and
get
you're
the
gonna
names.
find out.
Okay, so we've got, all
Oh,
And then
All right.
town meeting
right,
reps.
so select board over on the left, David Beauvais, or Boisvert, if you're doing the French
Beauvais,
pronunciation.
Beauvais, go ahead.
It's Beauvais, and he's on 13 Drexel Drive. He pulled his papers yesterday. He's got to get 50 signatures and have his paper turned into the town clerk by the 17th. Okay, and then if the signatures are all valid, he'll be on the ballot. But that's, again, there's no contest right now, but somebody else has until Thursday next to pull papers. So right now, he's by himself. John Kurland,
Wait a minute, what do we know about him?
I know, I have no idea.
Is he on anything else in town?
I don't think so.
all we know is he's running against
I
Curlin.
don't think so. I don't
No,
know
he's
anything
not
about
running against Curlin, he's running by himself
No.
because it's the 3-year seat.
That's a 3-year seat. Now, right underneath is
Oh.
John Kurland has pulled for 1 year, and that is finishing out Pat Maloney's term. Pat has served, or will have served, 2 years this April.
What happened to Pat?
Pat is resigning his position effective in April, and that leaves 1 year on his term.
But
So,
again, I'll ask you a different way.
well, he
Why
has,
did he,
there are,
we still have his candy.
there are legitimate reasons for him resigning, and they're personal. I can't, that's as far as I can go with that.
Alrighty, more
okay?
time with his family.
All right, so John has pulled his papers, and his papers are certified, so John will be on the ballot for that one seat. And again, you have until next Thursday. If you want to challenge John Kurland in this race, you can pull your papers up until next Thursday.
So in school committee, we
Yep.
have 3 people for 2 positions.
There you go. Now you got a race already.
Evan, when we're all done with this, I have your favorite part of the show's coming up too.
Okay, fine.
Good.
So on school committee, we have Lauren Cochran, Dennis King, and Susan McKinnon.
She's challenging the incumbents.
And so what I might do is to see whether or not anybody wants to come on City Life. Normally, they don't.
I'll have them on my show.
Then that should be fine. So Sam's show is Cut to the Chase. It's on YouTube. It's done in the Chelmsford Parker Middle School.
Mhm.
We done with this?
Yes, we have other positions.
I don't think there are any other races, though, are there?
No, but well, it might be town meeting reps, but there are town meeting reps. We've
Yeah.
got 11 precincts. Please take a look at where you live. Basically, you only have maybe 4 meetings per year, 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, a couple of other ones. So other than that,
Yep.
we hope that, people will pull, and we'll do a little bit more research on this person that decided they thought they'd like to go to the top position without any
I
other.
don't-
Is he a town meeting rep?
I don't know, and I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that far. I just found out late last night that he pulled, so.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
People have the right to do that.
Absolutely. He's got the right to run and be elected if he wants
Do
to.
either of you guys know this Loretta Betts?
No, but she's not conservative, that's for sure.
I've heard about her. I don't know her.
Well, she's having a party, and it's going to be tonight, 5:30 to 7,
Yeah, there
at
you
the
go.
Princeton Station. A yummy stop. So good for, and be there or be square, $50. She's got a little QR code down here, and so good luck to her. She's running for state rep
Do
for
you
someplace.
know anybody who's supporting her?
I don't, I never met the gal.
Oh, you don't?
Somebody
Okay.
sent this to me and asked me if I could put it out there, so I'm doing that. Now, Jose Sorrentes put this out. This is happening tonight as well. And it's Community Networking Thursday at the Lowell Caribbean Festival. It's going to be, join us for a fun night, meet business owners.
What's his first name?
It's tonight, 72 Middlesex Street.
This is.
So
this
be
is
there or
David
be
L.,
square.
The guy who pulled his David.
We got another one coming up.
Okay.
This one's kind of in Spanish. And that's going to be on
That's
the 7th.
But that's not him.
What's the 7th? 7th is Saturday. So Saturday the 7th, they're going to have this. It's going to same place, 72 Middlesex Street. And it's written in Spanish, so a lot of our Spanish viewers can enjoy going to this, and maybe bring a friend. Moving right along here, we got out in Tewksbury at the Senior Center. Mark Prattman sent me this. And shrink it up so you can see it.
A Buffett.
And this is going to be Friday, February 13th, 1 to 4 p.m. $20 a ticket, and you'll leave completely full. Roast beef dinner, always a great time. And contact, if you have a question, call Jeannie. She's a mover and shaker out there. This is her phone number. And great time to be had. And that's February 13th, 1 to 4 p.m. This one came in yesterday. Open Pantries of the Greater Lowell presents Open Your Hearts at a dinner dance. It's going to be at the Central Congregational Church, 1 Worthing Street in Chelmsford. And it's going to be February 14th, 6 to 10 p.m.
Wow.
They have a QR code down here. So they have a website down here. So take your fancy phone out of your pocket, take a picture of this, and if you're interested in going.
It's been
This,
used.
we already did talk about. This is the public hearing coming up for the Lowell Connector Rotary that nobody in the neighborhood wants, but the state's going to give it to us and make us pay for it. And that's going to be
No.
February
65,
11th at
you
7
don't
p.m.
press
and
it
it's
right.
online.
North John.
You have to pre-register to go to the thing.
No, I don't.
Then we got Joe Espinola. He's running for state senate, and he's having a party the 6th, tomorrow, Friday night, at Lindsay's Tavern, 810 Merrimack, 8 Merrimack Ave in Dragon, or at
That's
Lindsay's.
closer, so that's-
And be there or be square. That's my last one. Back over to you, Ev.
Well, that was short.
Well, that's only because we were trying to see if we could find out something about somebody. Anyway, so there's a couple of other things that's out there, well, first of all, I didn't finish the thing about the sovereign state
Yeah,
piece.
go ahead.
So there's a lot of posts on Facebook that have been about the fact that, Massachusetts is a sovereign state and they don't have to do anything about ICE, and people are violating what our laws are and everything. But you said that
That's not true.
with ICE, it's something very specific. And then you also said that, like in Texas, when the state wanted to take over to keep people from coming into the state,
They
never
couldn't do it.
mind the sanctuary state that says everybody's welcome, they're saying,
That was
we
the-
don't want anybody
Yeah,
here.
that was the reverse.
The reverse,
Right.
and the federal government said, sorry, but you can't do
The
that.
federal government specifically said, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, specifically said, the state authority cannot enforce immigration law, period. End of story. I
Well,
mean,
don't you find,
That's oversimplifying.
is it around, kind of like, it's not circular, but you get around certain things, and basically what the state is doing is saying, it is interfering in immigration law, because they're saying we want all these people to be here, even though the federal government says that they're not supposed to be here, and now we're going to protect them. One of the things that I noticed in some of the reports, it has
I
nothing to
think
do with
that's-
conservatism or liberal, is that
Yeah.
there's an awful lot of people that are in LA and different places that are protesting, but the people that are protesting are not United States citizens. And,
I'm sure some of them aren't.
well, I'm sure they are, but there's an awful lot of them that aren't.
Well, I think you got a mixture. I think you've got a core group of people who are organized and funded, and then people, they say, well, this is not an organic protest. My thought on it, and again, I can't prove it one way or the other, it's just observation. But, you get a group of 2,500 people on the street in Minneapolis, for example. My thought is that there is a core group of professional, quote-unquote, agitators, but most of those people probably are locals that are joining the cause. But I think the nucleus is organized and funded. I think
Well, they're hoping other people will jump on the
that's pretty
bandwagon.
clear. The last thing the state, meaning Massachusetts, cares about is traffic flow. Pensions and power are the most important issues at the State House. I could not agree with that statement more. If you want highway funding from the feds, you have to enact a seatbelt law, or they will withhold those funds until you do. That is correct. I don't know of any state that does not have a seatbelt law. There may be some. Will Bill Galvin be elected for a 9th term? Can we get him in here on the hot seat to answer some questions? That's a question for the producer. Galvin has been in office for a long time, and I think he's done a pretty decent job. That's just my opinion, but you can disagree with that.
I heard a rumor yesterday.
Yep.
There's no speed limit in New Hampshire.
I did not hear that.
What do you
Yeah,
mean
I was
there's no
listening
speed
to,
limit? They're
My friend
posted.
Gary Frescarelli, he had his guest lawyer on, and the lawyer said there's no speed limit in New Hampshire.
Why did they post it then?
Live free or die.
Well, but certainly on the federal highways, there would be a speed limit. So you're saying probably on state roads, right?
Yeah, and again,
Okay.
for the audience, if you just tuned in, this is the exhaust from Mark Clay this morning, their generators.
What's that thing on the left that's sticking up? Do you know?
That's a crane,
That's a crane, okay.
and I
What
can
a
see why the
mess.
neighbor is up in arms about this.
That looks worse than, it looks blacker than what you had before.
Well, it's denser.
Yeah. That's not good.
It's
So we're
not,
looking
it's
at
not
Mark
color
Clay,
black, it's density.
Generator exhaust.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, I don't know for a fact.
So, the bottom line, I think the whole overview of this discussion is that you are not supposed to be able to pick and choose what laws you want to obey and which ones you want to ignore. The law is supposed to apply equally to everybody. We all know that it doesn't, because the system is run by human beings that are flawed and have their opinions. So the law is not administered equally, which is unfortunate. So the best I think we can hope for is that people try their best to do that. But there are just so many examples of unequal justice and rules for thee, but not for me. There's just so many examples of that. It's unfortunate. But
Well, I have something for you that
Yeah.
might, because when we talk about citizenship, there's a lot of people that may not be, it's deep. There's a lot of information that's out there. There's a lot of definitions to know. There's a lot of laws to know. There's a lot of different things that goes on there about how citizenship actually works. I had an article, and I was not aware of this, but that I have been doing the research on it. So I'm trying to do some research, trying to get some information out there, and trying to have it so that I'm not going to talk about 20 paragraphs worth of information. So you have two types of citizenship: de jure and de facto.
de jure means of law. So that would be the citizenship that's defined in the law, and that's Latin. De jure means of law, and de facto means what's actually happening, okay?
Right. So the de jure citizenship, citizenship by law, is acquired in the following way: birth on U.S. soil, descendant from citizen parents, or naturalization after lawful residency, background checks, English and civics testing, and an oath of allegiance. This status confers rights. Voting, passports, protection from deportation, and eligibility for public office, federally enforced. That is why when I read this, and I don't know how many weeks ago, when we were talking about how Congress some of them in Congress wanted to have a bill that if you were a naturalized citizen and you committed fraud, you would be deported.
I disagree with
And
that.
I disagreed with
Yep,
that.
that's not
Because on
right.
the basis of what our law says, is that if you are a naturalized citizen, you're as equal to anybody as like we are, that
Exactly.
we were born here.
Exactly
And
right.
that's where we go with that.
Naturalized citizen, what do you mean by that?
The naturalized citizen, and I'll tell you what the criteria is for a naturalized citizen. The naturalized citizen has lawful residency, background checks, English and civics testing, and an oath of
You have to
allegiance.
start off with a green card, okay? So you have to be a permanent resident. At that point, then you can apply for naturalization. Okay?
Right, but you have to go through a process.
Oh,
and It
correct.
costs money and it costs time. But that's where, at least we want people to know, even though we may have voted for somebody, it doesn't mean that everything that happens we agree with. And we're sitting here telling you what we don't agree with and why we don't agree with it. Not just because we didn't like the person.
If you're
One
a
of those.
naturalized citizen, there should be no legal distinction between that status and somebody who was born here, okay? That's the point.
Well, Sam, I got arrested for beating you up. I'm a naturalized citizen, and I don't show up for court.
That's different.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I have a green card. I'm here legally.
No, you're
You're a naturalized citizen.
You're a
It's
naturalized
different
citizen.
than having a
okay?
green card.
It's the same.
Okay, it doesn't make no difference. Put whatever label you want on the doggone thing. Can ICE pick me up and take me away?
No,
No,
End of story. Thanks.
well, at least we agree on that one. And then this article talked about the de facto membership. So what I think we could do would be probably, for another day, because we're gonna run out of time here with the other stuff I'd like to talk about, is to actually list, and then we can put up on the screen the two, so that people can see the differences between the two. And,
you want me to do a PowerPoint? We
oh
can
yeah,
send-
funny, we could do that. You and I can sit down and
and
do
we-
that.
We can send it to John and he
Yep,
can put it
yep.
up.
So, under the de facto, citizenship becomes a bit flexible. Laws are not supposed to be flexible necessarily, although there are exceptions to everything. And they talk about all kinds of stuff within this article. But basically, on the de facto part of citizenship, it deals with the fact that you have people that have come here illegally, or come here and things have run out, but they're still illegal, because they're not, have legal status within the country. And then they get jobs, they pay taxes, they do everything, they live here for a long time, they have children and everything. And some people look at that as a way that they are a citizen, even though they're not a citizen, haven't gone through the process. And so you had, I thought it was Eisenhower, that had said, well, we're gonna make all these people citizens that are here illegally.
He said it, and then Bush too said it.
Yeah,
So it's been done twice.
Right, but when you have a lot of the people that have now come in, it's a little different, I think it's a little different, than what happened in for those two administrations, because they were both Republicans. And it isn't like they were trying to create a whole Republican base. But right now, many of the people that came in are not here the way that immigration was supposed to work, where they would have a job, or they would have a sponsor.
Well, they haven't been here long enough to establish themselves as productive and law-abiding members of the community, is
Well,
what
when
you're
you,
saying.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
And
so-
so they don't fulfill that part of the
Right.
law for them to be able to go
But
forward.
that's part of the de facto definition. They have to have been here for sufficiently long period of time where people on the street recognize them as members of the community, and they don't differentiate their status. That's what that means, okay?
Right, but there's a whole lot of reasons why people don't become naturalized, because it costs a lot of money, and some of the people are living from paycheck to paycheck.
Well, we've had that discussion with Maria Santos, who was the immigration attorney on this show. I mean, and just the sheer backlog, the timing. There aren't enough people in the federal machinery to process in a timely fashion all of these situations. So people wait and they wait and they wait. It takes a long time to get a green card.
Right, and
Yeah.
I don't like, even though they're not here legally, I don't like the fact that if you have people that are trying to abide by what our laws are and show up for court dates and try to make sure that they're doing things the way they're supposed to do to get picked up because they're here illegally. I have a problem with that too.
Read this one, Ev.
We should have a law that prevents sitting members of Congress from insider trading, maybe term limits. Oh, that's the whole story.
There is a law. There's already a law that prevents that. Doesn't stop them from doing it, but there's a law.
Well, they can't be prosecuted for that.
Yeah, of
There was
course.
somebody that had posted that I knew from Mass Association of School Committees about the 28th Amendment, which I am in full support of, is that Congress shall pass no law that they aren't subject to.
They tried to do that in 1995.
They're not going to do it now because they don't want to do that.
Well, they actually did it. When the Republicans took control of the House of Representatives and the Senate in 95, which is the first time that the Republicans had complete control of the legislature in 40 years. Newt Gingrich, who was the Speaker of the House, that's the first thing he did. He advanced that legislation, and they passed it. Okay?
Well, they must have repealed it.
They did later on, all
Well,
right?
the Democrats repealed it,
So
is that
they,
correct?
Well, they had a lot of Republican votes on there too, so both parties were guilty. But
Well, it's money,
well, of course, it's money and power,
and they're the elitist
and that's what it's
group.
all about.
They don't
right?
like, they talk about,
Well, you remember what I always say, Evelyn? Members of the club.
right,
Okay,
but they talk,
members of
they
the club.
use terms, but they don't apply to them. They use the terms about the elitists.
Rules for thee, not for me.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
he loves to say that.
But it's
The-
so true.
You know, they talk about the elite group, but they are. They're unique amongst all citizens in that they are exempt from many of our laws. And they shouldn't be. When you wonder why some of them, if they don't get, any, even in investigations, they can tarnish their reputation. But from reading some of the stuff about the 28th Amendment, they can't be prosecuted for some sexual harassment and some other types of things, and their children are this, and they get, after one term, they can be, if they don't get reelected, they've got full salary for life. I mean, think about the amount of money that goes out there. If it's $150,000, $170,000 a year for all of these
think-
people over all these years
I don't-
that have collected off the government,
I'll have to,
that are worth a lot of money.
They took a job that was a pension benefit.
well, we'll have to look it up, because I don't know the exact number, but if you are a member of Congress, the House of Representatives, your term is 2 years, so you have to run every 2 years and get elected.
Hey, but if you
I
don't,
think is
there a cap?
It's either 3 or 4 terms. You either have to serve 6 or 8 years
to
before
become
you
eligible?
get your pension. So,
Oh.
well, look at, how long was Marty Meehan in?
I don't know.
How many terms did he have? Do you remember, John?
40.
Oh, no, it wasn't that many. But he
I'll ask.
he went beyond,
I'll find out.
because he made a promise that said, I won't serve, I think it was 8 years. So he went more than 4 terms. He might have had maybe 6 terms.
And then there was a day that
Okay.
everyone in downtown Lowell was on one knee begging him to run.
Well, that's what he says, okay? But,
I never saw pictures.
yeah, but anyway, the thing is, let's say he served for 12 years. It might have been 14 even, but I don't think it went much beyond that. So you serve for 12 years in Congress, and your base pay is $175,000 a year, and then you get, I think it's 80%, How many people in this country have an income of $140,000 a year? Not that many, okay? And how many of them have?
7.
Yeah, and is it,
14 years.
okay, so after 14 years, they're vested. Okay.
No, that's how many terms
Oh, that's how
Marty
many he
Meehan
had?
served.
Okay, all right.
Now
It's
I'll
14,
ask.
yeah. Find out how long they have to be in before they're vested in their pension. 8 years sticks in my mind. I could be wrong. All right? It's a good deal, folks, okay? It's a good deal.
You think?
Yeah.
Plus, they get a different kind of health care program than we do.
Oh, and it's better, okay?
You think?
But the point is that, I guess philosophically, I feel that your elected representatives should be really be compensated at an average, or maybe slightly a little more than average, level, because they should have to feel the same pain that their constituents feel getting through daily life. And they don't. They're insulated.
Oh, my God.
And that's a lot of the problem.
Oh, here it is here.
So.
Let's do this, there we go. This is really tough. We'll find that out.
We'll
in
get
the-
that information.
Let me see if I can get that.
And maybe if somebody listening knows, they can let us know. I just
So
don't.
look at, can we turn the page to
Yeah, go
Super
ahead.
Bowl weekend?
Oh, yeah, next weekend, or this
So
weekend.
Sam, what?
5 years of service.
Is that it?
A pension is available to members 62 years of age. You have to be older. You
Okay,
have to reach 62. With 5 years of service, 50 years or older, with 20 years of service, or 25 years of service at any age. A
Okay.
reduced pension is available depending upon everything else. Members leave Congress before, this is their pension,
Yeah.
not their salary. If members leave Congress before reaching retirement age, they may leave their contributions behind and receive a deferred pension later.
oh, that's a good deal.
And so that's pension.
You have a deal like that?
I would like their health insurance.
Well, that's
plan. all I
that's
know.
the answer, so let's get on to what John was talking
He,
about.
he wants to talk about what?
The Super Bowl. So,
Okay.
John, go ahead.
So on Saturday.
Yep.
What's gonna happen on Saturday, is I'm gonna,
McDonough,
No.
David 1978.
that's work. On Saturday, I'm gonna go get a large torpedo from George's Deli. with,
Torpedo meaning sandwich, right?
Yep,
Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
with everything on it,
All right.
in a wrap, and that goes in the fridge. I'm also gonna get a small special pizza from Lowell House of Pizza, it's called George's Special, and those are the two things I'm gonna eat during the game.
During the game.
Yeah, that's my Super Bowl treats.
Oh, there you go.
So, Sam, what Super Bowl treats do you have? I know poor Evelyn can't get the TV going, so she's not gonna watch.
Oh, she'll
Super-
watch it.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that isn't it. I don't have to get the TV going if Glenn wants to watch the game.
I don't know the answer, but I do know we've got some people coming over to watch the game, and that means
Well,
my-
traditionally, what kind of grub does Candy have?
Oh, finger stuff, not meal stuff. She'll have, hors d'oeuvre type stuff, yeah. Chicken wings, the various dips and
And a cruder.
Chip dips?
charcuterie board, which, I never even heard that term till about 5 years ago, but anyway.
What
Makes
is
one
it?
up all the time.
Oh, it's a cheese a board, and you have crackers and cheese and dip and all that other stuff
Fruit.
on it, and vegetables like celery and raw carrots and
You might have sliced cheese and crackers.
sliced cheese and crackers, and that's called, I'm told, a charcuterie board. You like that?
Okay.
I never heard the term.
I
till
never
about
heard the
five-
term until.
Well, you
Till
can
about
look at
5
you can
years
look it
ago.
up online, and we can share
No,
that
we're
with
gonna
everybody.
go, what you're gonna have at your house.
But what
Charcuterie.
I don't know, I haven't figured it out. It's only two of us. But there was something that I sent you that I
So,
thought was
are
interesting
you
because
gonna-
I didn't know.
Now,
I
how
asked
are you
one.
gonna get the Super Bowl on your TV?
I'm gonna turn it on,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to.
That's funny. Yeah, you gotta turn it
And
on.
then
Everyone got rid of Comcast, so I
And then
wanna know.
I'm going to use the directional thing to go to the right, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to then go to the right, and I'm going to get on Fubo, and I'm going to hit play.
There you go.
So then
Can't you talk to it? And on
I
my
don't- yeah,
my
you
thing,
can,
you
but I
can
don't.
you can
I have to
talk
play
to
with
it.
it. Some of
Right.
the stuff I just
So
can't be
the
bothered right
answer
now.
is, I don't know how I'm gonna watch the,
Do you know?
Well,
Super
Glenn
Bowl.
will.
Do you know what network is broadcasting?
If I really wanted to
I
do all
believe
this
it's on
stuff, I
Channel
would.
10 CBS.
I really don't
No,
care.
NBC.
NBC. Okay.
All right, on Facebook, I gave.
Maybe it'll be on Facebook.
All right, so what I would like you to show, because this is something I
NBC.
didn't know.
Okay.
Okay? So on what I sent you, if you,
Where did you send it?
Facebook,
Okay,
Messenger,
all right, I'll go look there.
it's easy. I sent you the thing with the 4 presidents.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
above it. It's called the deep dive.
The deportation thing.
No.
Oh.
No, this is history. I keep finding these little tidbits of things. I have no clue what they are because I wasn't taught this. So if you can click on that and put it up on the screen,
I'm going as fast as the internet. This isn't anything pornographic, is it?
no.
No,
Okay.
I hope not.
Well, I just want.
I'm not
she
into
said
that.
Deep dive, you never know.
I'm not into that stuff.
Alrighty.
Good to know.
Oh, yeah. Function of character, morality, and ethics.
So
No,
Ernie
that's-
Saylor?
I have no idea. I didn't look at that. It just says deep dive, and you'll see you'll see New York City and the Statue of Liberty.
I think I got it here.
Okay, good. Well, you
I
got,
sent it to you too.
whoop,
I'm trying to make this guy go.
that's all right. Nice and warm in here.
Oh, yeah.
Coming at the speed of government.
Oh, tell me it's not going to do this. There it
you
is.
go.
Okay.
Oh, what are we looking at?
In 1916, before the U.S. entered World War I, German agents staged a massive terror attack in Jersey City. They set fire to the Black Tom Munitions Depot.
Wow.
The explosion was equal to an earthquake, 5.5 magnitude, blew out windows in Times Square, shrapnel riddled the Statue of Liberty, damaging a Ramen torch. I didn't check to see if this was accurate, by the way, unfortunately. It is the reason why tourists haven't been allowed to climb up into the torch since 1916. Most people have forgotten. I thought that was interesting.
If that's true, and I don't know if it is or
Let me
isn't,
check and
but
see if it's true.
If that is true, all the more reason to wonder why President Wilson was so reluctant to declare war with Germany, which was not done until 1917. I mean, that's an act of war, if that's true.
Well, it's in the Wayback Machine, so turn the page.
Yes. So, the AI overview. Yes, German agents sabotaged and blew up the Black Tom Munitions Depot in Jersey City, New Jersey on July 30th,
I
1916.
did not know that.
The act of sabotage intended to destroy Allied ammunition during World War I resulted in a massive, and that was what we just did. It shattered windows in Manhattan and damaged the Statue of Liberty.
There you go.
And then if you look at further up, it'll go through all of the details. I thought that was an interesting piece of historical trivia. I've brought up a bunch of stuff every week that I find out that I didn't know about. Now, one of the things that, I think it was on Fox Nation, it talked about all the presidents, and you have all the historians that's there talking about all the presidents. And Glenn said to me, how come we don't know this stuff about these presidents? And I said, because when you take U.S. history in high school, they do an overview. They don't, as they say, dive deeply into
you have to
every
read, yeah.
single thing that everybody said. We all knew that there was a,
You have to read
what do
biographies.
you want to call it, confrontation between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. But we didn't know everything that was stated and why. And then when they talk about all of the different party system, because we didn't always have Republicans, Democrats, there were different things that was early on, the Whigs, the different things. I mean, that kind of stuff overview I sort of remembered because of what I had studied myself personally. But there's a lot of stuff that's out there historically that isn't brought up. And there's a lot of slant out there on all sides trying to propagandicize the history to make their point more valid. But there's just a lot of stuff. I was always interested in reading more and more about history. I liked historical fiction. It gave you a different human look at what some of the monarchies did and didn't do, and kind of like a Hallmark movie. But there's a lot of stuff that I see that's on that idea.
The presidents are no different from anybody else. Everybody is a complex character and has multi sides to their personality and character. So, read about George Washington, read about Thomas Jefferson, and they were flawed human beings like all the rest of us.
So there's two things. We've got, about 5 minutes or so. One thing was that you had a musician recently that made a comment that we are living on stolen land.
Oh, yeah. What's her name again?
Oh, I don't remember.
I never heard of her.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But she was out there making
So was most of Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's living on stolen
Everybody
land because
lives
they
on stolen
conquered
land.
stuff.
Thanks to the Romans.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
So
dominated.
is this young lady going to give up her property and give it back to the indigenous tribe?
Well, that was my first thing when I heard it.
Okay, well, what's the answer? Is she gonna do that or
No,
not?
she's not gonna do
Oh,
that.
she's
But the
not?
other thing, what
Oh,
happened
okay.
was, my understanding that came across the news was that whatever Indian tribes are out there said, oh, wonderful, you're on stolen land, can we have it back? So, I'm trying to think,
It's a ridiculous comment to make.
I don't know if it says, no, but this is not a new comment. And
But the Native
there's a lot,
Americans,
Billy Alish.
that's it. But the Native Americans, and I'm not justifying the
No
stolen
one is
land thing.
illegal on stolen land.
Right, okay, but.
So
I'm-
she's basically saying the country is stolen land, so nobody should be illegal.
Right.
That's where she's
Where do
coming
we
from.
go?
That's exactly right.
So,
So where should we go?
it isn't that we're going anywhere, it's that we have to accept everybody.
Well, where is she going? She's on stolen land. Or is what she's saying apparently is, I'm on stolen land, so therefore I don't judge anybody who's in the country on the stolen land. That's what she's
But
saying.
anyway, so there's a lot of stuff out there with regard to that particular statement, if anybody's interested. Now, the other thing is voter ID, which I find
Do it.
interesting. That the people that,
Barging in here tomorrow, Cliff Krieger's gonna be the host. Eileen Del Rice is gonna be here, Jose Cervantes, and the little sons, Melanie Gilbert's coming back tomorrow, so
Good for that. yeah.
time is short.
Good show.
yes, so as far as voter ID goes, if the Democrats require identification to get into their conference and everything that they do, you need an ID to get on an airplane. And now, if you don't have the right ID,
They're gonna charge you.
they're going to charge you.
Well, why did they lie to us?
Who?
About what?
The airport people said, if you don't have a star on your ID, we're not gonna let you fly.
Yeah, but you better be able to have a passport, because that's the
Evelyn, they said, if I don't have a star
I
on
saw
my-
that. I don't.
And why are they changing this story?
I don't know.
Because they want the money.
And my guess is somebody's gonna sue them about the $45, and it's all gonna go away.
Well, whatever it is, I'm only saying that before that all happened, I had to have a license or some kind of identification to be able to get on an airplane.
That's
That's my
right.
We're
point.
gonna have a lawyer go through that today. There'll be a class action lawsuit. It'll be gone by Monday.
Right, but I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm saying that you need an identification.
You've always needed some form of ID to get
Right,
on the aircraft.
right. And if
Not before 9/11.
I didn't need,
One of my lady friends, she was going to Florida. Her sister gave her the ticket.
That's
She-
true.
She gets up to the ticket counter, and she says, I'm Linda, whatever. And she has she's an attractive woman with a nice figure, and the guy notices in 3 letters on her chest, Sue. So he says, who's Sue? He said, well, that's me. Well, why are you telling me you're Linda? Well, so they wouldn't let her fly because of her T-shirt.
well, you have to have the right identification on your ticket.
Then he asked for her ID, and she wasn't Linda.
That's right.
Well,
So that you can't steal
before
identity.
9/11, it wasn't formalized, but it's always been the case. The closest thing to an absolute monarch in the world is a captain of a ship, whether it's a vessel or an aircraft. The captain can throw anybody off his plane, and he doesn't have to give a reason for it. Okay? That's the way it is, all right? So it's always been that the pilot, the captain of the airship, if he wants to look at you and doesn't like the way you part your hair, he throws you off the ship, and that's his legal right to do that.
Right, but to get back to the topic that I wanted to talk
Right.
about, okay?
At a port.
So you need some form of identification to cash a check. Right now, everything is being transferred back and forth.
Even if you go into your own bank and they know you,
You still have to do
very
it.
often they will still ask you for your ID.
Right.
That's correct.
If I want to get a driver's license,
Mm-hmm.
I have to prove who I am. And if you have to get one of those real IDs, you need a birth certificate, and then you'd need a marriage certificate if your name is different.
2 forms, right?
You need your social security number, and if you bring a passport, you still have to have all the other documentation.
correct.
Even though, when you got your passport, you had to send your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, and
You have 45 seconds.
a bunch of other stuff.
Passport should be good enough. You've been vetted by the
So,
State Department.
If every single thing
Right.
that you need to do is that you need to identify who you are, why is it different to vote
Good question.
across the board regardless?
And we'll leave that as a question for next
Right,
Thursday.
and so, thanks, Sam, for being here, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we always learn stuff, and we hope everybody will
Oh, I learned a
stay,
bunch of stuff today.
well, we hope everybody stays nice and
Yeah.
warm. We're supposed to have a very cold weekend, it's supposed to snow, be very careful with what you're doing, and have fun on the Super Bowl weekend. Take
And we'll
care.
see you next time. Thanks for watching City Life. Have a good
Start
See you
your-
next week.
start your day.